What's popping YouTube? Certainly not the zoom units in the Nike LeBron 14. This is Fresh Pair returning for another edition of Tech Focus. This is where I provide a more detailed explanation of a particular tech of a shoe from a performance perspective. The first time I did this was back in August of 2016, where I talked about the heel boost in the Adidas Crazy Light 2016. So if you're new here, hop in and let's learn a few more important things. For today, I'll be talking about the cushioning system in the Nike LeBron 14. Check out my detailed performance review for this shoe if you haven't yet. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel while you're at it. Follow me on Instagram for regular updates and photos. Check my blog as well for the full transcript of this video. All the links are posted in the description box below. With that out of the way, let's get in focus. Just for context, keep in mind that I weigh about 70 kilograms or around 154 pounds. My playing style is more of the guard type, which involves running the floor a lot and frequent jumps. With that in mind, we now answer the main question. Is the cushioning setup in the LeBron 14 a good thing? Based on my overall experience, I think it is good. Here's why. First, the heel zoom. It provides good impact protection at the heel because of several things. One is its placement, particularly the way the length extends all the way to the edge of the heel. This is important because the edge of the heel is the first contact point between the floor and your feet when running, stopping or slowing down, or even just walking. Had the heel zoom been shorter, you won't be feeling it in the same way that you actually do here. That's because your heel will initially strike the foam or Phylon midsole instead of the zoom. Now that is probably Nike's usual mistake in implementing zoom in the heel, which is sometimes just a small zoom bag. But in the LeBron 14, Nike got it right. 2 is the overall length and width of the heel zoom. Now the heel zoom basically covers the entire heel area. Now as a result, all types of heel strikes are covered, whether directly at the back, at the side, or right smack in the middle of the heel. The 14mm thickness of the heel zoom is another thing. A thicker zoom unit means more air volume inside, and more air volume inside means more cushioning potential. Now I say potential because air volume is not the only factor in determining whether a zoom unit provides ample cushioning. With the 14mm thickness of the heel zoom that is both long and wide, what you have as a result is adequate air displacement during heel strikes. It is this air displacement that diffuses the force of the impact, which brings us to the third reason that is closely linked with the second reason. The third reason why there is adequate impact protection at the heel is the heel zoom setup. Specifically, the heel zoom is sandwiched between the Phylon midsole and the rubber outsole. What is important to remember here is that the Phylon midsole is not as dense as the earlier versions of Phylon. In other words, the Phylon midsole in the LeBron 14 is softer. In fact, just a few runs in the shoe and the Phylon midsole already had a number of compression marks. The relatively softer Phylon midsole here allows the heel zoom, particularly the upper perimeter of the heel zoom, to push against the Phylon when the zoom compresses at the top and extends at the sides during heel strikes. Now the harder the heel strike, the greater the top compression will be, and the same is true for the extension of the zoom bag at the sides. Now a dense Phylon midsole will greatly restrict this compression and extension. On the other hand, a softer Phylon midsole such as this one will allow more of both. Next, the midfoot zoom. Others might think that the midfoot zoom is a waste of material because supposedly the midfoot does not need much cushioning. While it's not completely wrong, it's not always true as well. This is because there is also a thing called midfoot strike, which basically means landing on the length of your foot, including your midfoot, which is just behind the ball of your foot. Remember that basketball involves almost all types of footwork, and they include almost all types of foot strikes as well. There are times when you will be landing on the length of your foot. Now this can happen during side steps and landing after a layup in a lateral or diagonal direction, among others. But those are the exceptions rather than the rule, because as a rule of thumb, you almost always land on your forefoot after a jump. Push with your forefoot during the initial stage of sprints and land on your heel when running or walking. Be that as it may, the midfoot zoom is still a welcome addition, if only for that extra cushioning that makes the LeBron 14's entire cushioning setup consistent from the heel to the ball of the foot. Speaking of which, this has 2 zoom units at the ball of the foot. Now, like the heel and midfoot zoom, these two zoom units help diffuse the force of the impact during forefoot strikes for the same reasons. These have thick volume, these are long and wide enough to cover almost all of the forefoot area, and these are loaded underneath a soft Phylon midsole as well. Now, had the zoom units at the ball of the foot been top loaded and too plush, your forefoot push-offs may become a little unstable, which brings me to my final point. All 4 zoom units are bottom loaded. In other words, they sit below the Phylon midsole, not completely housed inside and not on top. Now, this bottom loaded setup stabilizes your footsteps with respect to the big zoom units. It also diffuses the load of your weight across a wider area. Now, this ensures that the cushioning is consistent throughout. While it may be true that a bottom-loaded zoom setup reduces the softness that you feel under your feet, the thickness of the zoom units compensates for it. Otherwise, if you load these large zoom units atop the midsole and directly under your feet, you will get a wobbly or unstable cushioning, which is not what you need. There's also a midfoot shank or plate above the midfoot zoom and Phylon. What it does is to dampen the cushioning, which makes the midfoot ride a little more stable. And it's for good measure since the midfoot zoom is thick. People often say that bigger is better, and this is true in the cushioning setup in the Nike LeBron 14. Personally, I like the overall cushioning in this shoe, and as I have said in my performance review, it is the strongest performance aspect of the LeBron 14. That's it for today's Tech Focus. Tell me what you think. Post your thoughts in the comments section. While you're at it, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. More videos are dropping, don't miss out. Follow me on Instagram for regular updates. Check my blog as well for the full transcript of this video. All the links are posted in the description box below. This is Fresh Pair signing out for today. Thanks for watching. Peace.